What if I told you the life you're living right now is only 10% of what you're truly capable of? That the rest, the fire, the potential, it's all locked inside you, waiting, begging to be unleashed. But here's the catch: most people will die with their potential still trapped inside them. Will you? Or will you finally wake up and do something about it? This isn't just another motivational speech. This is a wake up call. Because by the end of this video, you're going to realize that everything you want, discipline, confidence, freedom, peace, it's already within you. You just never gave yourself the time to build it. So the question is, how much longer are you going to wait to become the person you were meant to be? You don't need more inspiration. You don't need another podcast, another book. Quote, what you need is time. Time spent alone in silence, sharpening yourself like a weapon. You've been distracted for too long, numbed by noise, addicted to comfort. Every time you scroll instead of reflect, every time you talk instead of act, every time you give your energy to people who don't even respect their own life, you rob yourself. You rob yourself of growth, of mastery, of the edge that separates winner spectators. You've been playing it safe, but no one becomes unstoppable by staying comfortable. The truth: no one is coming to save you. No one is going to fix your life. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, now is your moment. That moment is here. If you decide to claim it, most people don't need a miracle. They need isolation. They need silence. They need to stop performing for the world and start working in the dark. You want to be better? Spend more time alone, not lonely alone. There's a difference. Silence is where you meet the real you. No filters, no distractions, just raw truth. And that truth, it's ugly at first. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to face your laziness, your weakness, your procrastination. But that's where your power is hiding. That's the battlefield where legends are built. You don't rise by talking about your goals. You rise by working on yourself when no one's watching, when it's boring, when it hurts, when you want to quit. That's the grind no one claps for. But it's also the grind that turns average into dangerous. Let me be clear. You're not behind in life because you lack talent. You're behind because you keep negotiating with laziness. You keep choosing distractions over discipline. You think you need motivation when you really need a system. You think you're tired, but you're just untrained. Your mind has been running on autopilot for years, driven by emotion, not principle. And now it's time to take the wheel back, because the day you stop letting your emotions dictate your actions, that's the day you start to win. There's a version of you out there that's so focused, so disciplined, so relentless that it would scare the person you are today. And you don't meet that version by talking about it. You meet it by suffering for it, by choosing discomfort over escape, by putting in hours no one sees. That's how you earn self-respect, by being liked, not by being loud, but by being dangerous in your discipline. This isn't about perfection. This is about progress. It's about deciding that every second of every day is a chance to build something stronger inside you, not for the world to clap, not for approval, but because you finally understand you are the project. You are the work. You are the one that can't be replaced. And no one's going to build you for you. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop hoping life will slow down. It won't. Time is not your friend. It's your test. And if you don't use it to build yourself, it will bury you under regrets. Yes, true. Absolutely. Here's the good news. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Start carving out time. Start cutting off distractions. Start making your standards non-negotiable. Because the moment you stop treating your potential like a hobby and start treating it like a mission, that's the moment everything changes. You're not broken. You're not missing something. The truth is brutal, but freeing. Everything you need is already inside you. That potential you keep chasing, it's not somewhere out there. It's in you right now. You've just buried it under distractions, self-doubt, and years of noise that convinced you you're not enough. But here's the catch. Potential doesn't show up on its own. It's silent. It waits. And most people never hear it because they're too busy listening to everything else. Social media, opinions, pressure, comparison. The world is loud, but your greatness is quiet. And if you don't create space to hear it, you'll never activate it. We're conditioned to believe that growth comes from outside, that the answers are in the next podcast, the next coach, the next course. But what if the only thing you're missing is time spent with yourself, not in distraction, not in fake productivity, but in deliberate, focused effort to develop your mind, your discipline, your strength, that's where potential begins to rise from within. It's not a mystery, it's a muscle. And every time you choose silence over noise, effort over ease, you strengthen that muscle. You don't come be powerful by accident. Powerful by turning inward and doing the inner work no one claps for. Most people think they're stuck because of circumstances. But the truth, they're stuck because they never gave themselves permission to build. They've outsourced their confidence to validation, their focus to devices, their ambition to comfort, and potential cannot survive in that kind of environment. You have to design the conditions for your growth. That means protecting your energy, guarding your time, saying no more often. It means sitting in the uncomfortable stillness where your excuses live and killing them one by one. That's not easy, but it's necessary because your mind adapts to what you feed it. And if you keep feeding it noise, distraction, and doubt, don't be surprised when your potential stays locked away. You already have everything it takes, but you won't find it until you strip away what's been numbing you. The scrolling, the gossip, the shallow conversations. You need depth, you need friction, you need silence. That's where the real work happens. Not when the world is watching, but when it's just you, your thoughts, and the decision to rise. You're not waiting on life to change. Life is waiting on a you. Silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon. And in a world addicted to noise, the most dangerous person is the one who can stillness and not flinch. Most people run from silence because it exposes them. It strips away the distractions, the filters, the lies they tell themselves. But that's exactly why you need it. Because when you remove the noise, you meet the truth. And the truth, it's the mirror that shows you exactly who you are. Without the mask, without the ego, without the performance, if you never confront that version of you, how can you ever grow past it? Solitude isn't loneliness. It's access. It's direct access to your mind, your patterns, your habits. And most importantly, it's access to your potential. You can't hear your instincts in chaos. You can't develop vision in a crowd. Growth requires depth, and depth requires isolation. The world will keep pulling at your attention, demanding you show up, respond, react. But if you keep giving your attention to everything, you'll have nothing left to give to yourself. You cannot master yourself if you're always performing for others. Think about it. Every meaningful transformation in your life didn't come from a moment when you were surrounded by people. It came from a decision made in silence. It came from stillness, from pain, from awareness. That's the birthplace of change. You don't need another motivational reel. You need an hour alone with your thoughts. You need space to wrestle with your excuses, to ask hard questions, to break the loop you've been stuck in. Because when you get quiet, the lies fall away. You stop blaming the world. You stop negotiating with weakness. And you finally begin to hear that voice inside you that says, enough. And here's the truth. If you can't sit in silence, you're not in control of yourself. You're ruled by impulses, distractions, and fear. But once you learn to be alone without being afraid of what comes up, you start building real power. Power that's not performative, power that's earned. That's when you become mentally unshakable, when you no longer need noise to feel alive, when you no longer need people's opinions to feel valid, when you no longer need the world's permission to go all in on yourself. Silence is where you sharpen the blade. And when you step back into the world, you're not louder, you're just undeniable. You're not tired, you're undisciplined. You're not overwhelmed, you're untrained. And every time you choose comfort over commitment, you reinforce the belief that you're not built for more. That's the trap. You keep thinking you're stuck because life is hard. But the truth is, you keep giving yourself an out. You negotiate with laziness. You rationalize delay. You let your feelings decide your future. And if you keep doing that, you'll live your whole life 10 steps behind the person you could have become. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a system. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, action by action. It starts when you stop waiting to feel like it and start doing it anyway. Because feelings are liars. They want ease, escape, comfort. But results, they want consistency. They demand follow through. The people who are winning in life aren't more talented. They just stopped making excuses. They built systems that don't rely on mood. They show up on good days, bad days, and every day in between. And that's what separates the elite from the average, not motivation, but discipline executed over time. You've been lied to by your own mind. It tells you 5 more minutes. You've worked hard. You deserve a break. and maybe you do. But success doesn't care. Growth doesn't wait. The clock is ticking whether you act or not. And the ones who win, they're not waiting to be inspired. They're training themselves to act anyway. Every time you push through resistance, you prove to your brain that you are in control, that your future matters more than your impulses, that your standards are higher than your mood. If you want to become someone you've never been, you have to do things you've never done. And that starts with refusing to bargain with laziness. You don't get stronger by skipping the reps. You don't get sharper by avoiding friction. Discipline is built when it's inconvenient. When your body says no and your purpose says go, that's when you grow. That's when you break through. That's when you start to respect yourself because you kept a promise no one else even saw. And that silent self-respect, it's louder than any praise. That's what makes you powerful, not the talk, not the plan, the execution. The days you show up without applause, the version of you that will dominate life is not built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of discipline, forged in the quiet hours where no one is watching and no one is clapping. That version of you, the focused, relentless, powerful one, doesn't emerge when life feels easy. It shows up when you refuse to fold, when you choose to show up even when your body aches, when your mind resists, when everything in you says quit. Growth is not born in motivation. It's born in moments of friction, the kind that breaks you just enough to rebuild you stronger. We're living in a world that tells you to avoid pain, to chase ease, to protect your feelings at all costs. But the truth is, every strong mind you admire was built through voluntary discomfort. People who became great chose to suffer with intention, not because they were forced to, but because they understood that suffering with purpose is where transformation happens. You don't build courage by feeling safe. You build it by doing the thing you fear. You don't become mentally tough by being pampered. You become tough by facing resistance over and over until it no longer rattles you. If you want to change your life, stop chasing comfort and start seeking pressure. Stop running from the hard things and start inviting them in. The weights in the gym don't get lighter, but you get stronger. The same applies to life. Challenges don't disappear. You just get more capable. And that capability doesn't come from talking about growth. It comes from fighting for it. Every early morning, every late night, every uncomfortable decision. It's all a deposit into the person you're becoming. You have to train yourself to crave the struggle, to welcome the hard days, because those are the days that sharpen your edge. That's how you separate. That's how you become undeniable. Not because life handed you a perfect path, but because you stopped retreating when it got hard. That's how you earn power, through the moments that break other people but build you. That version of you you're chasing, it's already inside, but it only answers to one mastered discipline under pressure. That's the doorway. And it only opens through effort that most people will never be willing to give. You are the project. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Not your goals. Not your job. Not the brand you're trying to build. And until you treat yourself like the most important thing you'll ever work on, nothing in your life will change. People spend their entire lives building things, careers, relationships, images, but they neglect the foundation. They ignore themselves, and then they wonder why it all collapses under pressure. It's because they never took the time to build themselves first. Here's the reality. No one is coming to develop you. No one's going to hand you focused discipline or clarity. That's your job, your responsibility, your mission. Every day you spend waiting for the right moment, the right energy, the right opportunity. You fall further behind the person you were meant to become. Progress doesn't happen because time passes. Progress happens because you decided to engage with your own growth like it's non-negotiable. That means tracking your actions, auditing your habits, and brutally confronting the things that keep pulling you backward. If you approached yourself like a real project, you'd stop wasting time. You'd stop saying yes to things that drain you. You'd stop tolerating environments that shrink you. You'd build a system. You'd set boundaries. You'd start treating your mind like a machine that needs fuel, not junk. And here's what most people miss. Self-respect is built through consistency. Not through loud declarations, but through quiet repetition, through doing the thing you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard. That's how you build trust with yourself. And once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. You've got to stop outsourcing your development. This is your responsibility now. And it's not a one-time event. It's a lifelong process. But if you do the work, if you show up for yourself the same way you show up for everyone else, everything changes. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger, smarter, sharper, clearer. And when that happens, when you stop being a passenger in your own life and start driving the change, you don't just grow. You lead, you dominate. You become the kind of person people can't ignore. Not because you asked for attention, but because you earned it in silence, one disciplined day at a time. So here it is, your wake-up call. Not the kind that whispers, but the kind that shakes you. Because the life you want, the person you dream of becoming, the power you keep searching for, it's not waiting for the right timing or some miracle motivation. It's waiting on you, your silence, your discipline, your commitment to turn inward and build from the inside out. This world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. And most people will never tap into what's inside them because they're too distracted, too soft, too scared to sit with themselves and do the real work. But you're not most people. If you've made it this far, there's a part of you that's ready to stop running from the mirror, ready to stop handing your future to excuses, ready to become someone you respect, not because of what others say, but because of what you know you've endured and built. The loudest power in the room is the one that doesn't need to be announced. It's built in the dark, in the quiet, in the hours nobody sees. And now it's your turn to go there. So stop waiting, start building, protect your mind, train your body, master your time, speak less, move more. Work on yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't get another version of this moment. You don't get a second chance at it now. What you do from this point forward will decide whether your potential becomes your reality or just another thing you buried in silence. Now ask yourself, who are you willing to become when no one's watching?